So this is my first sort of time doing a video like this, so I promise I will probably ramble and just talk, and I'm sorry we can't hear me very well because both my children are in bed. But basically I've created this page because I've had an Instagram for Amelia for a few years, and you know it's got quite a few people on it, but I thought that I'd come over to here as well because I talk about Amelia a lot, and you know people ask our story and what's happened, and it can be really hard to talk about, obviously, like when you're typing it out it gets emotional, but you're typing it out so you can talk about it, but you know, when you're telling someone in person, you kind of tear up and you can feel yourself choking and just getting really upset. So, like I said, it's very hard for me to come on here and do these sorts of videos. I'm not a social media influencer. I hope this page does do as well as our Instagram has done, because we do a lot to try and keep her memory alive. So in 2019, we lived in Swindon, and then we moved to Wales when I was about 28 weeks pregnant. 28 weeks pregnant, and so we had to kind of choose. We were kind of right in the middle of Wales, so we had a hospital 40 minutes one side of us and 40 minutes the other side of us, so we kind of had to pick one hospital. One was under special measures, and one, you know, if you looked at the reviews, they seemed like a really good hospital, and everyone we kind of spoke to said they were a good hospital. So we chose that one. Again, I was 28 weeks, so I missed my GTT test, and I don't think they actually ever took another one, which I don't know why, but I don't think I ever actually got one with Amelia. And whenever I had my scans, she'd always have extra water, and people in my family have, you know, just but have diabetes. So I was very surprised. Kind of the first thing that went wrong was that they didn't check us for that because I was too late at joining their hospital. Around 28, 29 weeks, her pattern completely changed. She would kick all day and all night, especially around 2, 3 a.m. because that's when like my husband would come home from work. Sorry if you can hear me breathing, I talk really fast. Come home from work at around 2, 3 a.m, so she'd obviously start up kicking then. Same as our first son. So Amelia was our second pregnancy. Our son was 2.5 at the time that I was pregnant with Amelia, so he sort of understood that a little sister was coming, but he didn't really understand anything at all, really. So yeah, this hospital, they seemed okay. The first kind of, you know, problem I had was when I went in quite a lot of pain, and they told me I was costing them £400 a night for a bed. That was the first kind of thing that put me off of them. Now, I'm not here to, you know, moan or complain about the hospital, because we've done that, we've been through that, and we didn't get listened to. But our story today is about Amelia, and if this all adds up to her journey and what happened to her, then I'm going to talk about it, because I can't just start off being like, yeah, well, she's gone, because that's not how it started. She didn't just go. You know, there was lots of stuff adding up to her going. You know, that's part of our story. You know, and you get the good parts and the bad parts of every hospital. I mean, with my rainbow daughter that came after Amelia, we went to the hospital that were under special measures, and they were absolutely wonderful. And you know, my rainbow daughter, she's here and she's alive, and part of me wishes that I picked that hospital in the first place with Amelia, but would it have made a difference? I don't know. you know, if she'd passed away in that hospital, then I would have just blamed the hospital just as much. So yeah, her pattern started to kind of change, and I did start to worry from around 29 weeks onwards, because she wasn't kicking as much as she would. My placenta was at the back with her, so there was no reason why her kicks should have been, you know, restricted or anything like that. And I did go in a lot for reduced movements. I think, honestly, about 35 times altogether. They never offered to induce me. Every time I got upset and cried, they kind of just didn't listen. Consultant, because I was already high risk from my son being premature, and my consultant was just telling me to hold on till 37 weeks. So way we consultant appointment, and I said that I was getting really worried because her movements had completely changed. She doesn't kick anymore. When my husband puts his hand on my stomach, you know, she just kicks a few times, and I got told it's because you're getting bigger, which is a complete myth. So if anyone tells you that, please don't listen. You know, babies' movement shouldn't reduce. You need to get seen. It's also the same as, you know, if they increase, if your baby kicks more and more and more and more, then get checked, you know. You know, the reason for me telling this story is because one person, two people save their baby because they don't know about reduced movements or extra movements, or they let the hospital just boss them around. That's what I want to do. I want to help people with our story. I want to help people not go through what we've gone through, because I wouldn't wish this ever on my worst enemy. I really wouldn't. I wouldn't wish this on the most evil person in the world, because it's not fair. You know, and it doesn't just stay with you for that time that they've passed away. It stays with you for years and years and years, and it doesn't go away. It doesn't stop hurting. It's there forever, and it completely changes you forever. And person save their future, change their future, save themselves, save their children, and then I'll do that. If I can help make this journey easier for someone, not that this journey is ever easier for any of us that go through this. Help someone, make them feel like they're less alone and less in pain, like I felt, then I'll do that. You know, I'm just here to help people like me, and I always will be. We went in kind of the week before Amelia passed away, and obviously I was nearly 37 weeks, so I would have been 37 weeks on that Friday, the Friday the week after, and I was told just to hold on till then, because then that's when they'd kind of start me off. So I wasn't really happy about it. I knew that if they'd kind of got her out, she would have been okay, because my son was born at 36 weeks, and I'm not I don't know the word, I'm not advocating anyone giving birth prematurely, because, you know, the longer the baby grows inside you, the better. But I knew that something was wrong. My gut instinct was telling me that something wasn't right with her. So on the Monday, I'd obviously gone home and had the weekend, and on the Monday she'd completely stopped moving. I couldn't feel her at all. So I went in the afternoon with, I think I went in with my mother-in-law, and I kicked off. I got upset. I said, look, something inside me is telling me that she's not okay. She needs to come out. Completely stopped moving. She's not. I can't feel her at all. Obviously, something is wrong. I know she comes out now. She'll be fine because my son was fine. I really, really want you to get her out. And I was begging, and they were like, but she's fine on the Doppler. And I said, that's not the point. I know you think she's fine, and you're the doctors, and you know, but I know something is wrong. And I really just wanted them to listen to me. I really to me because more, and if I'd refused to leave, and um, you know, said, look, I'm not leaving until she's here, then she might have made it. Sorry. I really hope I don't get trolled for this or anything like that, because I know loads of social media influencers do, and that's not why I've come on here. I don't want it to be like that. I just to go through what we have, and I want people to survive. I knew he didn't survive, and he wasn't here. I don't think I would be here. He going because he wasn't quiet. He wasn't shy. He wasn't sad. He was boisterous and funny, and he made me smile when I just wanted to cry. And I don't think he'll ever know how much that means to me. But yeah, anyway, so on the Monday we left. We were there for a few hours, and basically they wouldn't start me off. They wouldn't listen to me. So we went home, and on my husband was working, and he was working the whole week. And on the in her from then till the day that we found out she passed away. I think back, and I can't remember if she ever kicked. So she could have gone that night, she could have gone on the Tuesday, she could have gone on the Wednesday morning, she could have gone any time on a Wednesday until we found out. On that Wednesday morning, you're probably gonna think this whole thing is so daft, but on the Wednesday morning, my son, he always slept in our bed, and he hated his own room. And on that Wednesday, he got up at like 9 a.m. and he slept in his own bed all night. And it was really sunny when he came into our room, and I felt so weird because he'd not come into our bed all night, and I thought, this is so weird. So my day just started off really weird. And I know when I think back now to that day, that's one memory that sticks in my mind. And it sounds so daft, and you're probably going to laugh at me and think this crazy lady, she's stupid, but yeah, no, that's honestly something that I think back of and think, that was weird. It's like a bad juju that he slept in his own bed all night. So yeah, that was the Wednesday, and me and my son went into town to get some extra baby stuff because I was going to be induced on the Friday. We went to get bottles and nappies, and we just the extra baby stuff, anything we could find really, and we got loads of. We went to Boots and we got loads of. They had a huge sale on, and we got loads of clothes and milk, you know, like the milk that you use for newborns, and my bag was already packed. My hospital bag already had all the clothes in, and we were just getting stuff for me, you know, like snacks and drinks. My son was going to stay with my parents because he loves staying with them. He was going to stay with them, and they were going to look after him. while I went in. My mum and my husband, this was before COVID, it was 2019, so my mum and my husband were going to be at the birth with me, because my mum was there for my first birth with my son, but I had to go rushed in for an emergency C-section, so she ended up missing it. So we said that, this would be it, should be here for this one. Wednesday we shopped for baby stuff, and then it was getting late in the afternoon. It was June. It was the 19th of June. So it was really hot and muggy outside, but it had been like really rainy. The sky had like grey and it was like rainy, but it was really muggy. It was like 22 degrees, and it was horrible. So we went to meet my husband. He works at a pub, so we went to meet him at the pub for lunch. Again, my son was only kind of 2.5, so still a baby, really, a toddler. We went home and we played in the garden, and again it was so muggy and it was going to thunder. We went in to give him a bath. I gave him a bath and I put him to bed. And I had a bath because I thought, when I finally sat down for 5 minutes that day, I thought, I haven't felt her move all day. And they say when you walk, you rock the baby to sleep, and you won't always feel kicks, stuff like that. But I sat down and just kind of poked her, I hadn't felt her move all day, and I thought, her because I haven't felt her for days. So I went in the bath because she always wiggled in the bath. She loved the bath. Whenever I went in the bath, she would kick and wiggle, and I'd know that she was okay. I went in the bath and she didn't. She didn't move. She didn't move at all. I didn't know about things like the Doppler machines and stuff like that when I was pregnant with Amelia. I didn't know they existed, so I didn't have anything to check that she was okay. My husband was at work. He was on a night shift. He didn't finish till about 2 a.m. This was about, 11 o'clock, midnight by the time I finally got in the bath and felt that I couldn't feel her. So not that long difference between me not feeling her and him coming home. But I rang our community midwife, and obviously our community hospital in Wales was literally just like, if you're not high risk and if you're not like under special care, you can go to there, and they come to your house to check and stuff. But obviously I was 2 days off of 37 weeks, so they couldn't really come and check at midnight either. So I rang the out of hours community midwife that was on call, and I said, look, I don't think she's moved all day. I haven't felt her, not once. She said, and I hate this advice as well, I'm just going to say, if your movements have changed, if they've got more or less, or they've just changed pattern, and you just are not happy, and you just think it's weird, and it's upsetting you, get checked over. Even if your hospital is miles away, even if you have to take all your kids with you, even if you have to go on your own, it's better to be safe than sorry. Get checked over. I will always say this, get checked over, please. For me, for you, for everyone who's been through this, get checked over. Because all these things that they tell you to do to get the baby to move is precious time that you could be spending in getting the baby out if there's something wrong. And I'm not trying to scare anyone, so I really hope this doesn't scare anyone, but if it scares someone enough to think, oh, I haven't felt my baby all day, I better go to the hospital and get checked over, then that's fine. But I'm not trying to upset or scare anyone. I know before I lost Amelia, I would see stuff about baby loss and I would look away. I never thought it was possible to lose a baby full term. I really didn't. I knew miscarriages were a thing, early pregnancy loss, but I'd never seen any story, a loss after the baby's born, but I'd never seen any stories where they'd gone at this amount of term, you know, when you're nearly at term. I didn't think it was real. I didn't think it was true. I kind of, you know, I turned a blind eye to it, like, not a blind eye, you know, I sort of knew what SANS, the baby loss charity, was, but I didn't really know. I called the community midwife and I said, look, she hasn't moved all day. What should I do? She said, look, lay on your left side, have a cold drink, wait 5 minutes and see if you can sort out hospital for you. So I did that. Nothing. My husband came home because we had to go to the hospital, and he put his hand on my stomach and he said, oh, I can feel her, I can feel her, I can feel her moving. And I don't know if he just said that because he wanted to, or if he genuinely thought that he could feel her kicking. No one told us that you can still feel the baby once they've passed away because your waters move them around. It's cruel when you lose a child. Again, the hospital was 40 minutes away. It was 1 a.m. It was pitch black. It was thundering. And the whole way there, I kept telling myself in my mind that she was gone. It's like I was getting myself prepared for them telling me. You know, I had these images in my head of them just telling me that she was gone. We had to wake my son up, and he was asleep in the back of the car because he was only a baby. And, you know, it was thundering. I thought, this is just the atmosphere for them. They're gonna tell me that she's gone. So we went into the hospital, and we had a student midwife. She took us into the room. The room was really run down and old-fashioned, on like a really old part of the hospital. It's thundering. You could hear the rain coming down really hard on the window. And I said, I'm not getting on that bed. And my husband's like, you need to get on the bed. I said, I'm not getting on that bed. And the midwife said, why? I said, because you're going to tell me that she's gone. I'm not getting on that bed to have my heart broken because I already know what's coming. And I was crying, obviously, a lot. And she said, look, just lie down on the bed and I'm sure she'll be fine. And even me and my husband joked that she'll probably be fine because every time we went in for reduced movements, she'd be completely fine, and we'd like go and take my son to McDonald's around the corner afterwards or something, and we joked that we'd probably just finish and go and get McDonald's and go home and she'd be born 2 days later. We did laugh, we did joke, you know, that she'd be fine. Sorry, long video and I understand if you get bored, but it's really important for me to tell my story, and if you could share it and like it and I don't, just watch it. Even if you don't watch all of it, you just watch some of it. If you watch all of it, I'd be really grateful, but if you can't watch all of it, then I understand. So they got a Doppler, just like a handheld Doppler, and they put it on my stomach, and the student midwife was like, oh, I can hear her. I can hear her heartbeat. I've just got it. And she's wriggled away. I can hear her moving. I thought, thank God. I'm panicking for absolutely nothing. She's going to be born. She's going to be fine. She's just told me she's fine. And then I think she tried to find her for another 10 minutes and she couldn't. So she said, okay, let me try the big machine, you know, the one that prints out all the lines and stuff. So she put me on that. Again, she couldn't find her. She was just a student midwife, so she was like, you know, not just a student midwife. I mean, this is her words to me. She said, you know, I'm just a student midwife, so I might be struggling because I haven't practiced enough. That was her words to me. I'm not saying anything bad about student midwives because she was fantastic, and I will never forget her. I have forgotten her name, but I don't want to kind of name anyone on here anyway because it's not their story and they might not want to be named, and I don't want to get in trouble. So yeah, she went to get the head midwife because obviously she thought maybe this is a bit more serious than I thought. And she tried for 10 minutes to find her, and she said, look, I'm going to have to get the doctor to get a scan machine because we can't find her. She's probably just hidden in your back. I hadn't had any bleeding. My waters hadn't gone anything. Literally, just everything was like a normal pregnancy. She said, let me go and get the doctor. Wait here for 10 minutes and I'll be back. So she went to get the doctor and he had the scan machine, and he said, like, they didn't show me the machine, they didn't show me the scan picture. They just scanned, but to the faces dropped. To me, she knew. The walls in this hospital were so extremely thin because it was such an old hospital. The one memory I will never ever forget is I'm at this point, 3:30, very late. The one memory I will never forget is the second they said to me, I'm sorry, she's got no heartbeat. She's gone. A baby was born right next door, crying, literally at the same time. My ears were ringing, there was no sound, and all I could hear was the cry of this baby. Now I know it wasn't this woman's fault, but I just felt like that was so cruel and unfair. That to me. I'm not a huge believer in God and stuff like that, and I don't want to upset anyone with my views, so I'm not going to talk about them, but if there is one, how can he make someone like us, who've never done anything wrong, go through something like that? Why did it have to be me? I've not done anything wrong. I'm not a bad person. I'm nice. I screamed. I screamed so loud I couldn't hear anything else. I could just hear my own scream. And I tell you what, I'm so glad my son was asleep in the buggy and he didn't wake up, and it made that time so much easier, him being asleep, because he would have been so confused, like, why is mummy crying? And my husband was confused. He didn't know what had just happened. I don't think it had sunk in yet, and he was just looking at the screen, like, because they showed me eventually that I made them prove that she had no heartbeat. I think he was just confused. They left us alone because they didn't know what to do, and I didn't know what to do, and my husband didn't know what to do, and it was about 4:30 in the morning by now. And he should have been in bed. Yes, he should have, but we had no one else around. It was just us, and he was asleep. It wasn't like he was awake all night. So, even though they lived 40 minutes away in Newbury, she'd probably be awake by then because she's always awake at night. I was hoping that she'd be awake. She wasn't, so I rung a few times, and you know, it's my mum. She's the first person I turn to when something goes wrong. I don't even think I'd spoken to my husband at this point. I just wanted my mum. Me, you know, so I just wanted her. So I rang her and she answered, and I'd obviously woken her up. And she was like, what's going on? Why are you ringing me at this time of the morning? she's gone. So she didn't have a clue what I was saying. And I was like, she's gone, she's gone. And she was like, who's gone? What's going on? Put my husband on the phone. So I did, and she said, my husband, what's going on? What does she mean she's gone? And he said, look, we've come to the hospital. Amelia wasn't moving. They've told her she's got no heartbeat, and she's gone. She was gone. There was no going back. Look, ring your mum. So my husband's mum, my mother-in-law. She said, look, ring your mum because she lives closer. Get her to come down and take my son to bed until we get there, and I'll be straight up. No, it doesn't like to come for me. I want to tell my story because it's really hard, and I don't think I'd ever cry this much after 4 years, but you do. And people are going to be like, why are you telling your story if it's hurting you so much? Why are you crying in front of hundreds of people? You just look silly. But like I said, story, if I can get Amelia's memory out there, if I can protect someone and keep them safe and what we have, then I will tell my story forever. Yeah. My mum must have rang my sister, and they both jumped in the car and came up, and the doctor was talking to us, and he was like, look, you can stay in and be induced now, tomorrow, and get it done with, or because it was a Wednesday now, but obviously it was Thursday by then because it was about 5-6 a.m. My mother-in-law, she came and took my son home, and we told her what happened. She cried with us, and she took my husband out the room and because he doesn't think he has to cry. He doesn't think he's allowed to cry because he's a man. He thinks he has to be strong for all of us, but it's never been that way. It's just let out and talk about her and tell his story because she took my son to our house, and they said you can come in tomorrow, you can stay and just be induced tomorrow, or you can come in on Friday and be induced. So we said, look, I didn't believe it was real. I thought they made a mistake. I said that they were lying. So I said, look, I'll come back on the Friday because I was hoping that there was some chance that if we came back on the Friday, her heartbeat would be there. And obviously I was Googling when you're told their baby has no heartbeat, but they do, stories of no heartbeat, but heartbeat being there. I was Googling everything. We got sent home with leaflets of what to do during labour of a child that had passed away. Stuff like that. So we went home and it was about 7:30, 8 o'clock by the time my mum and my sister had showed up. Told them. You've been up all night, you're not thinking straight. me and my husband and my son, they stayed. They cleaned our house, packed our stuff up, just sat and waited because we were waiting for the hospital to call us with the time that we had to come in. Obviously, we'd slept most of the Thursday. By the time I came down, I think most of my family was there. My dad, my sisters, my mother-in-law, my mum. They were all there because, you know, they wanted to see what had happened. They wanted to support us. They wanted to take my son back with my dad because he was going to look after him while we just waited to see what was going on. And on the Friday, they just said, come in whenever you're ready because you'll have, you know, the baby loss room. Downstairs to pack her suitcase again because I didn't need baby grows, I didn't need nappies, I didn't need bottles, I didn't need milk, I didn't know what I needed. I screamed, I cried, I threw everything out. I didn't know what I needed. I still thought she was alive because I could still feel her moving. But like I said, no one tells you that they still move. That was cruel, it really was. I was just praying that she was going to be there. We went in on Friday. My son was, you know, in. So I didn't have to worry. Even though I did worry about him because he didn't know what was going on. My mum was with me. My mother-in-law was with me. My husband was with me. The baby loss room was not that great. It was literally just a hospital bed and a microwave and a shower and a garden that was overrun, and yeah, it was really not that great. But luckily, you know, the garden was nice because it was the middle of June, it was really hot, and yeah. So I made them scan me like a million times to definitely check that she was gone, because the tablet that they start you off on when you've is not the same as like a normal birth. I think, you know, it makes sure that the heart is stopped and stuff like that. Apparently, I'm not sure, but yeah. They gave me the tablet about 8 o'clock that evening because I didn't want to take it, and I didn't. Still, obviously, nothing could start until I took that tablet. I had to take mouth tablets first, and then, you know, tablets they insert after, and it took me hours to take it because I said, if I take this, that means she's really gone, and she will be born, and I'll never see her again. Basically, it took basically like the whole weekend, and on the Monday, we just, you know, ate as much. Not ate. I didn't eat obviously because I wasn't hungry. I tried, but you know, I just had showers and I had drinks and read books, and I wrote a diary. I wrote a diary, and I kept a diary the whole time that I was there. And yeah, on the Monday, I started to feel pains and niggles, and by this point they had me on pain relief and stuff like that. I didn't want a C-section. I absolutely refused to have a C-section because I said, look, I'm not going through emergency surgery and painful surgery that I'm going to be out of for weeks when I don't have a baby to show for it. So I just kept going, and at I think about 7:30 my waters went, and at 8:05 she was born. everyone was quiet. There was no cry. There was no tears. But and that's the memory I'll ever have. Is the silence. It rings in your ears for years and years. They wanted to me, but I didn't want to look at her because I was scared that she was going to look like my son. And every time I looked at my son, I would see her and it would hurt. But I did look at her. Just she was £7 5 on Monday the 24th of June 2019. She weighed £7 and she had jet black thick hair and she was beautiful. Ever forget that time that we had with her, because we had a cuddle cot. And if you don't know what a cuddle cot is, it's basically like a cooling mat that goes into a Moses basket. And it just basically stops the baby from deteriorating so that you get to spend time with them and make memories with them. And people might think that was weird, and when our story went into the Sun newspaper, we did get some comments saying we were weird and unhinged and gross and not normal. But unless you're going through that, you have no idea. You have no clue. And it was normal. And we got to say goodbye to her. You don't get a lifetime of memories with babies that pass away. You get 4 days. That's what we got. We had 4 days to make our memories. 4 days. And that was it. Some people don't get that. I have a friend that they didn't have a cuddle cot in their hospital and she got 4 hours. Hours. A baby she'd carried for 40 weeks. Goodbye. Sorry, I've been talking for nearly an hour, so I will try to hurry it up because I know I'm probably boring you and I know you probably won't watch all of this. But I would be grateful if you could share it and like it, and I don't know, just nice comments would be nice. I know I'm probably going to get some comments telling me I'm weird and awful and why am I crying and stupid and horrible comments. I know I will probably get some of them. I'm expecting it. We've had it all. Please leave your nice comments. Cuddle cot, we got 4 days with her. We got a company in called Remember My Baby. Now, if you lose a child, we weren't told about this, and when you look on Google, it all looks kind of American. So we nearly didn't get them in because I was confused on how to get in contact with them. I think I contacted them on Facebook, and the bereavement nurse at the hospital me, and they came in and they took all our photos, our family photos, and that's the memories that we have. So she was born on the Monday and we wanted to keep her till the Friday, but she was fading really fast. Her skin was peeling and stuff. Even though she wasn't here, it was unfair to keep her here. So they came and got her at 6 a.m. and I just wanted to leave. I remember walking out the back door because I didn't want anyone to look at me, because when I went to get lunch one of the days when I was just giving birth to her, every midwife had stood outside their door looking at me and smiling at me because of what had just happened, and I hated that. I know they didn't mean wrong, and I know they thought they were doing something nice and supportive, but it was horrible. I felt like a clown. I felt like everyone was laughing at me. I felt like everyone was staring at me. And I didn't want to leave the hospital, and I didn't want parents to look at me and think, well, why has she not got a baby with her? Why has she been in for days and she's not got a baby? Or I didn't want them to be like, oh, she's just been in that end room with the loss stuff on the walls and stuff like that. I didn't want people to question me. So we left the back way. We had a lady come in from Sam's Baby Loss Charity to speak to us about the future. Get easier. And at that time I thought, she's on drugs. How does this get easier? There's no way I'm going to be sad for the rest of my life. What's she on about? This can't get any easier. I had a black cloud over my head. I thought, this can't get easier. She doesn't know what she's talking about. So yeah, I left the back way and we started to plan her funeral, and she had a post-mortem, and unfortunately they didn't find out a reason why she'd passed away. I always think it might have been diabetes, or because I had an infection in my waters, they said, but they couldn't say ever if that was the reason she left. They never gave us a reason. The hospital was horrible. When I was giving birth to her, one of the doctors told me to stop crying because I just looked silly. And it was like it was being delivered by a child because Amelia's notes and heartbeat traces and everything were just thrown and scattered all about the table. The lady that was kind of on our side was like, this is horrendous, how can you put anyone through this? So we did take it further with the hospital, but it never got any further. And that's all I'll say about it, because like I said, I don't want to get in trouble, and this is about Amelia. So her funeral was the 25th of July, so a month after she passed away, because we had to wait for the post-mortem, and obviously they didn't want to bury her if they weren't finished. And yeah, we went in nearly every day, I think, to see her in the funeral home. Every time we went to see her, because she was fading, and we knew that we weren't going to stay in Wales, so there was no point in burying her. We wanted to keep her safe, we wanted to keep her with us, so she got cremated. She had a beautiful pink coffin. We played Gone Too Soon. Ever. We celebrate her at Christmas, we celebrate her on her birthday. We always celebrate her. My son knows about her, he talks about her, he asks about her. I highly suggest, if you have children and you go through something like this, to read children's baby loss books to them, because there is some really good ones, and it does help them understand. Obviously at the time my son didn't understand, he just thought, where's the baby? Because he did meet her in the hospital, but obviously he just thought she was asleep. Now he is 6, and he does ask about her. He does talk about her. So yeah, that's our story, and I will always share it, and I will always talk about it. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask me or message me, or talk about your babies. Please talk about your babies with me. I always want to talk about your babies. You need to share their memory just as much as I needed to share Amelia's. And sometimes people don't have people. I don't have anyone to talk about Amelia. You know, I don't have people to share her story with. I have family, but it's just as hard for them as it is to me to talk about her. And they very much keep their feelings inside, and I wear my heart on my sleeve. I talk about Amelia openly and freely, and I share her pictures, and I always write about her and talk about her and discuss her. And if anyone asks about her, I don't hesitate at the chance to talk about her story, because she's my daughter. She is my daughter just as much as my 2 children that are here are my son and my daughter. She is my child. I felt her kick, I felt her move, I felt her wiggle for 36 and a half weeks. She was our daughter. She was mine and my husband's daughter. She was my son and my daughter's sister. She's ours and she always will be. And she counts just as much as any other baby. So since she's passed away, we've done a lot in her memory. We fundraised for a cuddle cot for a hospital that doesn't have one. That was £1,600. We got one of them in her memory, and it had a plaque with her name on. We've donated packs to women's hospitals and just clothes. I think my husband's nan, she knits hats and stuff and hands them into hospitals for premature babies or babies that pass away. We go to groups. There's lots of good SANS groups out there. We've fundraised for Louis and just lots of different charities. And I will say, if you need help and you want to reach out to someone and you're struggling because you're going through this, there is lots of charities. I can't remember them all. I think there's Simba, SANS, for Louis, so many good ones. And obviously the main one, we support them a lot with their fundraising because it will never be enough. They give cuddle cots, they give memory boxes, and it's never going to be enough. 1 in 4 people experience this every week. Yeah, I'm not sure on the statistics, but 1 in 4, it's not a lot. It shouldn't be happening. And if we can prevent this and stop this by telling our stories, that's something we will do. I will always support charities that want to stop baby loss. Sometimes you can't always stop it. Sometimes there's not always a reason, but sometimes there's things that can be done to prevent it. And I want to prevent it. I don't want anyone to feel this heartbreak. So yeah, it's been 4 years. This June was 4 years. And we always celebrate her part, have a little tea party and stuff for her. It is hard every year. It doesn't get easier. It's not as hard as it was when we first lost her. That black cloud is gone. But I'm not the same person I was before. I was happy and I didn't fear loss. I didn't fear the world. And now I'm mostly sad every day. And you're probably thinking, that's not fair, you've got 2 kids at home. And let me tell you, if I didn't have those 2 kids, I wouldn't bother. They keep me going more than they will ever realise. Ever. And I hope that you do watch this and take it in and listen to it. I hope you do share and like it if you can with your friends or your family, just on your page. I hope you do follow our page and continue to follow and help us support all these baby loss charities. I hope you help us fundraise in Amelia's memory. I just hope we can grow this page big, and because it won't just always be about Amelia. No, I'm going to talk about family, and it will be a family page, and I will help others, and I will help others in her memory, and I'll fundraise in her memory, and it will all be shown on the page. And as people keep joining the page and saying, hey, look, what's your story about Amelia? And this is it. This will always be it. Every year gets just as hard. I fear the world. I fear loss. I obviously had a pregnancy after Amelia, and that was absolutely horrendous, but she is 3 now and she's okay. But my pregnancy with her was a nightmare. You're never the same, and if anyone tells you that they're the same, they're not. And I don't know how people can be so strong after going through something like this, because I'm not. I'm not strong. People say to me, you're really strong. I'm not strong. I am fragile. I have been diagnosed with bipolar since losing her. I've probably had it all my life, but you know, the diagnosis has just come since I lost her. I feel weak most days. I feel hurt. I feel sad. And I said I won't share pictures of her face because I don't want to put anyone off of the page. I don't want you to unfollow me because I shared pictures of her face. You know, because I know that some people, you know, like a trigger warning for stuff like this. And I personally don't think that our babies need trigger warning, but I don't want to upset anyone, and I don't want them to leave the page because I upset them. But I am just going to share a few photos. So this is my son saying goodbye to his sister, because the light's not very good. So this is me and her, and these are the photos that we got with Remember My Baby. So this is her plaque. You can't see it very well because it's really dark, so I will share photos of, like, not her face, but like her plaque and her hands and feet. The cuddle cot I will share, you know, just, I know people want to prove it, that you fundraise. But yeah, I'll share pictures of the cuddle cot, and our story has been in the Sun newspaper and Pick Me Up magazine, and you know, we did get a lot of trolls, we did get a lot of nasty comments, we did get called sick and weird and horrible and everything like that, but you know, she's our daughter. I don't care your opinion, I don't care what you think about me. I will never share my kids' faces on this page because that's up to them, but I've done. You can hate me for missing my daughter. You can hate me for grieving how I want to grieve. You can hate me. I don't care. I don't hate me. And I will always admit that. And I will always miss her. So this is her with me and my husband. And then this is just like her little hands, which I think is my background picture on here. So I just wanted to bring this video up to an hour because an hour is a long time to watch, and I know you probably won't watch it all, but like I said, it would be lovely if you do, and if you do share it and leave nice comments, and you know, just get our story out there and get seen. This is just my son. That was the best decision I made, because even though he doesn't really remember, I will remember. And then yeah, this is just me and her. Yeah, thank you for watching this if you do. Thank you for listening to our story if you do. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for liking my page. I'm sorry if I upset anyone. I'm sorry about crying. But please share for us, like for us, comment for us. Don't leave our page. Thank you.